Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy Friday as we finish our first week of the new year. How are you today? And thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us on a replay, in fact, quick hello. I know many of you watch us on a replay. We appreciate you tuning in. Do me a favor and just include the word comments so I can make sure to catch your view. I certainly don't want to miss you. And if you're joining us live, hello, welcome to the show. Let's get started with the markets. Well, today, the Dow closed up 56 points. NASDAQ closed up a roaring 134 points. S&P also up 20 as we end the week on a positive note. And today, as you know, is Friday. And Friday is always special because we do the AWA, which stands for Ask Winnie Anything. But today we're doing something special. We're taking a slight pivot because we're talking about creating value in the workplace, bringing much needed human connectivity in the workplace and being there for one another, having open, transparent discussions. After all, most of us spend most of our waking hours at work, so it's an opportunity to really create a very special environment. In fact, many of you know the very, very well-known Simon Sinek. He actually said that customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, you may know of a group called Employee Resource Groups. Many of you might have them actually at your company. In fact, we have found that about 90% of Fortune 500 companies have these Employee Resource Groups, or ERGs for short. They come in 4 different types of employee resource groups: diversity resource groups, volunteer groups, affinity groups, and professional development groups. Very much like when you're at college, right? Having these organizations coming together in a common cause and really creating friendship. So I love this. And I've had a chance the last few years to spend more time with some of the leaders of these ERGs. So I'm really honored to introduce you to 2 of them. I want to bring to the stage here Alex Rodriguez, who is a front-end engineer at DreamWorks Animation and a Mexican-American. Alex co-leads Unidos, one of DreamWorks employee resource groups for the Latinx community. For fun, Alex loves to bake. You love to bake, Alex? That's pretty awesome.
I do.
Run marathons and tweet about what it means to be brown and gay in tech. I love this. Okay, Nathan, welcome to the show as well. Co-lead of APA at DreamWorks Animation. Nathan Freeman is a post-production coordinator at DreamWorks Animation Feature. Also super awesome, just like Alex. And beyond that, I guess you have a common love for food because I guess Alex can bake and you, I guess, Nathan, are quite the foodie. Yes?
Yeah. I'm not cooking like Alex or baking, but I'll definitely eat.
I know. In fact, Nathan, I want to start with you because I feel like because we're all friends here, we want to know one of the fun reasons of why you joined your first ERG.
Well, Winnie, I'll be honest. I was at NBC and I saw all these emails for events. APA especially had a bunch of great panels. They brought in APAI talent to talk, but they also had lunch. And so I definitely signed up for a couple of them. I was like, oh, okay, I could do that at lunchtime. I get some nice food too. And so at the end of the year, I had they did an appreciation panel for luncheon for the people that were most engaged at APA. And I was invited and I was like, cool, more free lunch.
Well, free lunch. Okay. Well, Nathan, share with us real quickly. Nathan, what does APA stand for at DreamWorks Animation?
Oh, yeah, let me sidebar. APA is Asian Pacific Americans. And so that group is specifically there to spotlight and promote and retain API or Asian Pacific American talent within NBC. So a lot of those panels were, the Asian American cinematographer that worked on This Is Us. We get a chance to see these people working behind the scenes or working at NBC that we don't normally get to on our day-to-day.
I love that. I think that, so you're brought together for these groups so that you have a more intimate relationship, right? You get a chance to talk to, because I've been at DreamWorks for many years. I worked at DreamWorks with many of their employees on their stock option plan. And it's a really big campus. And I've been at NBC also working with employees, another really large campus. So I guess it's really easy when you work at a large company to only just sort of work with the people in your immediate maybe team, right? So it's hard to connect with other people. So I do love the fact that ERGs taken effect. So I would love for you, Alex, to talk about that a little bit. You obviously work at a very large company. What draws you to ERGs, and what draws you to leading an ERG?
I think what really drew me to ERGs was seeing a lack of diversity in my department, and being an engineer and being in part of tech has always been a minority. Being a Latino, being always the 1% or 2%, and being a leader myself, I've always been inspired to lead others, inspire the community to do action, to inform others about culture and things they could be aware of as a Latino animator. So for me, that's what kind of drove me to kind of pursue being a co-lead for Unidos.
Well, I think that's so helpful. And especially I've had a chance to now participate in some of your ERG events, and your group is very, very special. I mean, I feel like there's a very good energy. You have people of all different walks of life, right? And you bring people together. I mean, Alex, first off, you make the most amazing music playlist, right? Alex, sort of every ERG I've had a chance to collaborate with sort of has its own heart and soul. And when I think about Alex's group, great music, great spirit, great people, and just a really strong sense of diversity and that inclusionness. Alex, when you joined, when you joined your organization or decided to lead this organization, maybe there were certain things that maybe you envisioned that would be specific to you. Can you talk a little bit about that? How your vision has translated into this group?
Yeah, I think for me, it's always been a sense of community and find people to relate to based upon where you grew up from or your background as just being a first generation Latino or coming to this country as an immigrant. So I think finding those unique differences and similarities with people, it brings you closer to their story. And sometimes working in a work environment, you don't find those people in your team. And for me, it's been a huge exposure to see other differences in community and how they relate to culture. So, yeah.
I love that. I feel like it also gives you a chance to network with other areas within a large company, right? To see, then you know somebody, maybe you have an interest in segueing to a different department or a different interest in promoting, getting that promotion. And this gives you a chance to network even within your own entity. So Nathan, talk to me about why you think ERGs are important to have.
I think it's important because, like you just said, this is a community that you may not get in your day to day. I know where I was at NBC, there was 1 or 2 Asian API workers in my facility. So a lot of the people that I got to meet through APA, even though we were all on the same lot at NBC, I wouldn't have met them in any other way. And so not only do you get to be part of a community, be part of that, but you just get to meet new people. And I know for me, like when I was at NBC, I wanted to get over to DreamWorks, and APA is how I was able to connect over. I met someone through APA that worked in HR at DreamWorks, and we were just coordinating more events to connect with APA. I wanted to do an event over there at DreamWorks, and she followed up with me and kind of led to, you like animation, right? You want to be here? Talk more. So it's a great chance to create a dialogue with people you wouldn't normally get to.
So did that help you, Nathan, get your position at DreamWorks from NBC? Was it your APA connection?
It was the conversation about having a DreamWorks APA event that led to me meeting that person, her being like, let's go over your resume. Let's talk about what is a possible way to transition over. So it's not, don't go in just trying to get a job, but it's a great way to meet people, because I wouldn't have met her had I not been part of APA.
I love that. And actually, I want to say a quick hello to Diana Nguyen, who's joining us from LinkedIn. She says, BAM to diversity, so important to be aware of this. And I absolutely can't agree with you more, Diana. That's why I really wanted to invite these 2 friends of mine, but 2 powerhouses and leaders in this space, because I think if we learn from them of what they're doing and what's working, I will tell you, these communities are incredible. Alex's group, like we've done workshops with his group. We're talking about so many people joining in during this pandemic. And Let me ask you this, Alex. What do
Mhm.
ERGs focus on, do you feel like?
Yeah, so with our ERGs in general, we really focus on four things. It's usually the first thing is commerce, second is community, third thing is careers, and the fourth thing is culture. And these are all intersectional in a way where we focus on catering to our community in these events, and we focus on these topics in planning and generating traction to people to head towards our ERG.
Yeah. One thing I'm going to say, and Alex, and I know this for a fact, is what I love about both of your ERGs is that you actually welcome employees who are outside of your ERGs, who don't
Mhm.
exactly fit what the title or of the ERG is, right?
Yeah.
And then also, you're also really good about also co-producing events, right? Because I know that, for example, I've actually talked to quite a few employees now from both DreamWorks and in NBC, and they always say,
Mm.
"Winnie, when's the next time you're doing a talk for which ERG?" I'm like, "Well, I can let you know. I'm sure they would welcome you in," and I love to be able to say that because it's wonderful to say like, "Well, it's only for APA," or
Mm.
it's not necessary. It's for Alex's group only, or for we've also done some work with the women in tech, right?
Mhm.
Different groups, but it seems like this like I think that question is a question that we got, which is how do you get into your ERGs, Nathan?
Talk with your HR department. I know for DreamWorks we have Teamworks, which is kind of the employee engagement, and they work with HR. So if your company probably has an ERG or something like that, so I would definitely reach out to them because they would know. Because I know when I started, I didn't even know where to look for ERGs. I think I had a coworker just kind of be like, "Oh, I'm going to this event later. They're doing this cool panel with, this worker on the TV show." So it's probably there. And I know for us, we try to like make it aware that we're around and we're open to anyone coming through. It's just sometimes it's a matter of finding it, and that's what ERGs are here to do, is to spotlight those things or those
I love
communities.
it. I love that. Suzanne Brown is joining us from LinkedIn. And Suzanne is saying, I love the idea of inviting those to your ERGs who normally wouldn't part of group. Shows the focus to community that you mentioned is a core pillar. Yeah, absolutely. I know Alex,
Mhm.
you've definitely done that many a times. What I love to hear from you a little bit, Alex, is how ERGs are adapting in this pandemic like world. It's so different, right? We used to be able to just get
Mhm.
together and hang out. In fact, what's interesting is Alex and I haven't actually worked together on an event in person yet, right?
We
We've
haven't.
only been doing this remotely.
Yeah.
So talk about that ERG in a pandemic world. What's it look like, Alex? Is it different?
It is. Like you don't have the very human kind of connection with others, and like you feel like you have a sense of community in a room. It's more catered towards digital events, and I feel like even more so during the pandemic like world, it's even easier to get speakers from all parts of the country just because everything is so digital and on Zoom. So I feel like on the speaker side, speakers are more welcoming to say yes to panels, say yes to talks, say yes to be inspiration to others during these difficult times. So I've definitely have taken advantage of that.
That's so smart. I found it to be the same thing. Definitely been much easier to get guests. I haven't had any issues getting guests on this show now. Like we almost have too many now. So Nathan, this is wonderful. Like, let me ask you this. During this pandemic, a lot of us are feeling very disconnected, right? Have you felt like the ERG has helped you stay connected with your colleagues during the pandemic?
I think it has. I mean, I totally agree. I'm working from home. I don't really talk to too many people throughout the day. So the ERGs especially have been not a way to like stay connected with the community and my coworkers and even the other ERGs, but it's also just for a way for us to unplug. Because I feel like, especially with work from home, we spend so much time. It's great because we're accessible at home, but we're kind of always working. And so what ERGs are like doing these panels or doing just virtual happy hour coffee breaks with my fellow APA co-leads. It's just a way for us to unplug it from work and guard that time for ourselves and kind of take a break. And so what's been nice about ERGs is staying connected with the community. We do have to coordinate because we're all virtual, but it's a way we can carve out the time for ourselves that's not centered around our day-to-day work. And it's been really great.
Yeah, I think it's so important. There's been so much talk these days about like, will working from home be permanent? And although I will say there's certainly a lot of pluses to working from home, right? Like all of us are in Southern California, so we appreciate not spending as much on gas. However, that being said, I think we can all agree we miss people, that human connection. And I think realistically, for most businesses, a hybrid approach is probably going to be more reasonable than a completely virtual approach. And I don't know about you, but for me, that I'm okay with that. Like I would like to see my colleagues like regularly, and I would still like to work from home regularly at some point too.
Right.
So having that mix would work really, really well. So I don't know, to me, this is exciting. And I think it's important that we highlight this because especially right now during the pandemic, we know that 90% of Fortune 500 companies have ERGs, but there's a lot of small and mid-sized businesses are struggling. Employees feel disconnected, they feel alone, they feel like nobody cares, they're wondering. And when there's lack of communication, concerns occur, right? Like, will I get laid off? Will my hours get cut? Like, what's gonna happen to me? So maybe you could help me with this. When you think about an ERG or you think about a company that doesn't have one, but is interested in starting one, Alex, what would you say would be the first steps that you would take? And I definitely want to move to you, Nathan, on this as well.
Yeah, just to first off, say having an ERG creates a more diverse workforce, and a more diverse workforce leads to more innovative, diverse ideas for the business. So it's a really good business case for having ERGs because you're having a diverse workforce. But if you want to start your own ERG, I think you could ask HR and see where the bouts of where community is at and their kind of lens of things for like the quarter or for the future kind of years. And I feel like it's always like the employees that need to like step up and rise up and create their own community for the organization, because it's not going to be someone doing it for you. It's yourself that's doing it for yourself and for everyone else that has your similarities.
I love that. Nathan, what do you think?
Alex pretty much just hit it on the head, but definitely create the group that you would want to be part of. Go talk to your HR team, and it's a chance to bring that community together, but also spotlight the people in your company or industry as well. Like I think it's like, I think Winnie mentioned it, it's kind of like a club. Like we're doing this for fun. We're not getting paid for this. We want to be here. So I would say just like he said, go to your HR team and see if you guys already have ERG or something similar. But if not, make it your own and make it what you want out of it.
I love it. Thank you both so much for sharing that. I would tell you, so our ERGs definitely bring so many benefits to organizations. So if you're still on the fence, let me just share with you some of the research that I've done. That not only are they great for employee engagement and community and just friendship, like happy friendship, happy foodies, but they identify and help develop internal leaders. As you can see, both Alex, Nathan, probably pretty young in their careers, but look at total leadership. They're both run very large ERGs, and a lot of people look up to them and enjoy their time with them. And they're creating these very organic communities and relationships and connections that'll not only help them today, but in all future endeavors that they go towards. And it helps also, like Alex had said, helping with retention rates, right? Because you don't feel like you're alone, just like you don't feel like, that nobody cares about you. You feel like you're part of something pretty special. And this helps with educating employees, including senior leadership, these internal events, panels, networking. Look at, even Nathan got another job at a sister company that now he's even spreading. Now he's being well known in more than one silo. So it's really exciting. It can also help employees recruit, like Alex had mentioned too, underrepresented individuals, and develop that pipeline, because diversity is so valuable. And I can't emphasize that enough. Companies that lack that diversity, lack that diverse in talent, ideas, and everything else. And if nothing else, if you need a reason, do it because it's good for your business and it's just the right thing to do, right? So I love this. And it's really improves your work conditions, because I have worked at a very, very large company and early on in my career, one of the largest financial firms on the planet. And I will tell you, I felt so alone so many times because people didn't look like me. They didn't really embrace me. And if I had an ERG to join right from the beginning, it would have made a significant difference in how I felt during that time. All right. But with that, so I want to tell you, people are loving you. Alina is saying, great to meet you guys. And Alina actually said, she would have loved to work at DreamWorks back in the day. Well, now you know two powerhouses there. Let me ask you, before we jump into a little bit of fun speed round with you both, how can people follow you? What's your preferred way that people kind of follow your journey? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Twitter?
You can follow me on I'm A-Rod Uribe on Twitter, and then same as well on LinkedIn. You connect with me on LinkedIn if that works for y'all.
Okay. How about you, Nathan?
I'm Nathan Freeman, and I'm on LinkedIn. And then I don't really have a Twitter. I just have an Instagram. I'm Nathan Patsy Freeman on Instagram. So.
Well, wonderful. So yeah, if you want to follow these two leaders, definitely that's a great place to start. But let's go have some fun, because I'm thinking you're going to want to get to know them even more, because they're my friends, and I adore them. But this will give you a chance to get to know them even more, even better. Let's do the speed round.
Okay.
All right, Nathan, we're definitely going to start with you because, you talked about this. I feel like this is right up your alley. Post-pandemic, first restaurant that you are going to decide to dine in. First off, I want to know what the restaurant is, who you're going to dine in with, and what do you order off that menu?
Oh, first restaurant. Okay. Well, first restaurant is Korean barbecue, because that is something that I have wanted to do since the pandemic. I will probably go to, it's in K-Town, Ook. It's all you can eat, one price. I definitely go with my boyfriend and some of my coworkers and some of my ERG leads, but we would all just go get some drinks, eat a bunch of meat. It'd be great.
Do speakers get invites to this, Nathan?
I said friends, Winnie, so you'll be there.
All right, Alex, let's hear it. Where are you going?
Gracias Madre, vegan restaurant in West Hollywood, Mexican food. Dish would probably be the Paloma and the drink Paloma and the nachos, and I'll take my fiance and my mom.
I just want to tell you, Alex, I have been to that restaurant. It is so good. And let me tell you, for those of you who are not vegan, do not discount. This place is incredible. Not only that, super budget friendly for so fancy a restaurant, right, Alex?
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. All right. Let me get an invite for that one too. All right, but maybe I'll invite you two to that place. All right. Next question is, what's one thing you learned about yourself or learned to do during this pandemic that surprised you, Alex?
I'm really into baking, and I love the engineering behind it. I'm a very, very thorough baker, and my bakes come out really well. So I've been really good at baking.
But what have you made that we should know about?
What have I made that? Well, I recently a baking book called A Dessert Person. It's a recent cookbook from a Bon Appetit kind of cookbook person. So what I've recently made is chive cheese rolls. That's been pretty good.
That sounds so good.
Well, so we're gonna go to Gracias Madre and then to your house for food later.
Yeah, I think so. I got to tell you, I actually am friendly with Dominic Ansel. If you know him, he actually created the Cronut. You need such a nice guy. Definitely need to meet him at some point. We need to get him to be a speaker at your ERG. All right, Nathan, what did you learn? What did you try? What surprised you?
What surprised me is just I wish it wasn't baking, but it's just being able to uncheck from work. Something about the pandemic that I've learned about myself is just that I need to take the time for myself when I need it. And it's easy to get caught up in work, but it's so nice to be at home. And I'm not great, but I tried a little bit of yoga and some meditation, and it's easier to check out at home. And so it's I need these breaks. And so what I've learned is just take the time for me. If it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's totally fine. But it's been nice to kind of like get your time back during this work from home and this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I love
In
it.
the small
I
ways.
love that. All right, I love this. So what we've accomplished now is that we definitely need to learn yoga and meditation with Nathan, and we're definitely having some baked goods with Alex. I feel like this is a whole thing. Like we're gonna have to do a cooking show. I know those of you watching, what do you think? I think it's a great idea. All right, well, let me tell you, thank you so much, Alex and Nathan, for being here. You know, I adore you to pieces. I wish we were in the same space because we're going to have to get together after all this is done, and I will take you both out to eat. So thank you so much for those of you who are watching, for tuning into our live stream as we meet amazing people like Nathan and Alex who are in the trenches, moving mountains and getting stuff done, because we're talking trending and sharing real stories that you can always use. This week is certainly been a very rocky one, but I'm loving that we ended in this very, very positive note. Thank you so much for watching, supporting our program, sharing the show with those that you love, and be well. I can't wait to see you again next week. Have a great weekend. Take care, everybody.